far green country and to a swift sunrise.
That isn't so bad.
No. No, it isn't.
More about that in a moment. Hello everyone, I hope you're doing fabulously well. My name is Johannes and this is a new episode of Franconia, Heart of Europe. Today's video is about the question, what actually is Franconia? Well, Franconia is a part of Germany, and there's one thing that I have to speak about before I go on, and I think that Nick Alfieri, aka Nelf, explains that pretty well in one of his videos. He's an American, has been living in Schwäbisch Hall, a Franconian town in the state of Baden-Württemberg for the last 4 years, and this is what he has to say about Germany.
Before I came to Germany, I thought, all right, Germany is, Germany. It's all the same, whatever. And over the course of these last few years, I have learned that Germany is so different everywhere. I think it's a pretty unique country in that sense because there are just wildly different cultures in the north, in the south, in the east, in the west. It's a bunch of different little kingdoms that have come together. And to me, personally, if I was drawing the maps of countries, the Germany that is today, I would not draw this as one country.
So that's something you should really keep in mind about Germany. It also makes it very difficult to say that something is typical German. It might very likely be just typical for one particular part of the country. Franconia is one of those little kingdoms, as Nelf puts it, but a very special one. I divided this video about Franconia into 5 chapters. Chapter number 1, territory. Chapter number 2, cities. Number 3, Franconian patron saint, national holiday and anthem. Chapter number 4, people. And last but not least, chapter number 5, food. So let's start right away with chapter number 1, territory. I picked the title of Franconia, Heart of Europe for my channel for a very particular reason, because that's pretty much what Franconia is. If you look at this map of Europe, Franconia is literally right there in the center of it, or at least in the center of the EU. So much so that the geographical center of the EU was and is in Franconia. Up to January 31st, 2020, it was in Westerngrund, in the district of Aschaffenburg. And ever since, it is in the village of Gardheim, in the district of Würzburg. Since that transition happened during carnival season, the Gardheimers celebrated it in the proper costumes. Franconia is in the southeast of Germany, bordering only the Czech Republic as a foreign country. It is not a corporate territory, meaning Franconians do not have their own state, but it is spread over 4 different states in Germany. Over Bavaria, the Franconian territory in Bavaria is marked in blue on this map, over Baden-Württemberg, where the Franconian part is marked in yellow, and over Hessen and Thuringia. The Franconian territories there are marked in whatever those colors might be called. But if Franconia is not a state, if it doesn't have any official borders, how is it defined then? Well, there are 3 distinguishing criteria that define Franconia or Franconians. First criteria, the Main River. Franconia is the area around the Main River and its tributaries. That makes the Main Franconia's most important river. Only the few kilometers where the Main flows through Hessen before it goes into the Rhine do not fall into that category. That short bit is outside of Franconia. Second criteria, the East Frankish or East Franconian dialect.
Du war do trinken de. Wenn wir Fränkisch reden go, dann weiß man auch, was gemeint ist. Jo Soppelot hat dei Graut Stampfer. Des ist mir fei wurscht. Du fängst da gleich a Watschen ein.
Wherever the so-called East Frankish or East Franconian dialect is spoken, that's where Franconia is. Even if the local river does not flow into the Main eventually. That means, for example, that the region around the Altmühl River or the region around the Saxon Saale are also Franconia. Third criteria, whoever considers him or herself Franconian is Franconian. There are some areas where none of the above criteria can be applied, but where people will tell you that you are in Franconia nonetheless, and that pretty much settles it. As already stated, by far the largest part of Franconia nowadays is in the state of Bavaria. And that leads some people to wrongly believe that all of Franconia is part of that state, including even many Franconians. There's, for example, this Franconian a cappella vocal group called VivaVoce, and they are marvelous. You should really go and see them. They're great. If you have the chance, go and see them. They published a song about Franconia in 2020 that starts with these words.
Ein kleines Land in Bayern leistet Widerstand zurecht.
But it's such a common mistake, they probably didn't think of it. Since Bavaria has such a large chunk of Franconia, whatever happens here has a great influence on the whole region. That's why I have to speak about that a bit more. The Bavarian part of Franconia is divided into 3 governmental districts. The first one is Upper Franconia, in the northeast. The name comes from the fact that it's located around the upper course of the Main River. It is the area with the highest density of breweries in the world. More than 200 independent breweries brew over 1,000 different types of beer.
That's cute.
So, cheers, or Prost. Then there's Lower Franconia in the northwest, which is named after its location on the lower course of the Main River. It is a beautiful wine region, and typically the wine there comes in these special bottles, the so-called Boxbeutel. Again, Prost, or zum Wohl. And in Middle Franconia, named after the tributaries of the Main in its middle section, well, they drink whatever they can get their hands on, really. Middle Franconia has the Franconian Lake District with the largest lakes in the whole region. The typical Franconian landscape are soft green hills with villages in between. But there are also some mountainous areas, especially in the north. The highest mountain in Franconia is the Schneeberg, or Snow Mountain, in the Fichtelgebirge in the northeast. It's only 1,050 meters, but it's the highest that we've got. The lowest place above sea level in Franconia is close to Karl in western Franconia, a small town on the Main River, right at the border to Hessen. There you are only 102 meters above sea level. Franconia does have a flag, which is this one, with a red stripe at the top and a white stripe at the bottom. There's also a Franconian coat of arms, which is this, the so-called Franconian rake. To avoid misinterpretation, the Franconian flag is usually shown with a coat of arms in the middle. That's because a number of other countries have a red and white flag too. For example, Monaco, Indonesia, and the German state of Hessen, just to name a few. As most of Europe, Franconia is deeply rooted in Christian faith and traditions. Varying from area to area, people belong either to the Catholic or the Lutheran Church, and Franconia is pretty much split up between the 2 denominations. And of course, nowadays, free churches, other religions, and atheism play more and more of a role. Okay, now to chapter number 2, cities. Just to name a few Franconian cities, the largest city in Franconia is Nuremberg. And it's also the largest of a number of industrial cities in the region and the industrial center here. About 500,000 people live there. It has an international airport, is a very important train hub, and has a huge fair center. The second largest city is Würzburg. If Franconia was a corporate territory, its capital would have to be Würzburg for a large number of historical reasons. To name a few other cities, Bamberg, for example, where the whole old town is part of the list of World Cultural Heritage Sites, or Ansbach, which, like so many other Franconian cities, has a beautiful Baroque palace and a wonderful old town. Rodenburg ob der Tauber, very well known for its medieval town centre. And Coburg, that might be interesting for all the British who watch this, because this is where your royal family actually comes from. Prince Albert, the husband of Queen Victoria, grew up in Coburg and was a prince of House Saxe-Coburg-Gotha. He was a Franconian, you didn't know that, did you? To chapter number 3, Franconian patron saint, holiday and anthem. The patron saint of Franconia is Saint Kilian. He was an Irish missionary bishop who came to the area around Würzburg together with his two friends Colonnet and Totman. St. Kilian's feast day is the 8th of July, which in my opinion should be the national holiday of Franconia. But it's actually only celebrated in Würzburg. There really is sort of a national holiday. In 2006, to everybody's amazement, the Bavarian Parliament in great unity instituted the Day of Franconians, which is celebrated every year on the 2nd of July or the weekend after that. It commemorates the founding of the Franconian Imperial Circle within the Holy Roman Empire on the 2nd of July 1500. The day is only celebrated in one town with an officially organized happening there. In 2019, it was celebrated in two neighboring Franconian towns, Neustadt in the state of Bavaria and Sonneberg in the state of Thuringia. Franconians even have their own anthem, the so-called Frankenlied. It was never meant to be a Franconian anthem and is much rather a song for hiking. But have a listen to this orchestra, who also wear one version of traditional Franconian garments. Moving on to chapter number 4. About 4.5 to 5 million people live in Franconia, depending on which part you count in and which one you don't. Franconians typically have a fantastic sense of humor.
You serious?
We also have an award for people from all walks of life who show that particular contradictory and humorous spirit, the Frankenwürfel or Franconia Cube. I'll explain that in another video. But at the same time, I must admit Franconians have the reputation of being the most unfriendly people in Germany, which is something that I really never felt. So don't take it from me, maybe take it from Antoinette, who moved here from New Zealand.
And I have people ask me if I agree that this area of Germany is really unfriendly compared to other parts of Germany. To me, all the other areas of Germany where I have visited, it's been pretty similar.
There you have it. Franconians are simply very relaxed people, usually don't get too overexcited about things and so on.
Oh, really?
Nothing sums that up as much as the phrase passt schon. The standard German version of it, passt schon, would be a phrase to describe something as quite okay or just sufficient. For a Franconian, passt schon can be applied to a variety of meanings, including the absolute highest praise, as VivaVoce puts it in their song.
Dann noch die zwei Wörter, die wirklich jeder kennt.
Passt schon.
Unser größtes Kompliment.
Let's come to Franconian celebrities, just to name very few of them. First one, Sandra Bullock. She grew up in Nuremberg to a Franconian mother and an American father.
And you, is this true that you grew up in Germany?
Yes, between Germany and Washington, D.C.
I never realized that.
I know.
How long were you
Does it
in
make me
Germany?
more fascinating to you now?
Yeah, it does.
Then Dirk Nowitzki, Germany's most successful ever basketball player. He's from Würzburg. Also Albrecht Dürer, the great German Renaissance painter who was actually half Hungarian, half Franconian. Finally, let's come to the last but certainly not the least chapter, food. Number 5. I already spoke about the drinks earlier, so that's covered. Now to the food. Typical dishes are bratwurst, Franconia's sacred food. Depending on the part of Franconia you're in, they come in very different forms, sizes and tastes, but I love them all. Whether it's the long, thin bratwurst from the area around Hof, the small, short ones from Nuremberg, the ones from Coburg, which have to be roasted over pine cones, or the Gnickte from Würzburg. The bratwurst is a sacred food in Franconia, and that's why many butchers enter into a bratwurst competition each year. At the end, the best of them is crowned Bratwurst King. And then there are the potato dumplings, or klöße, very typical for Franconia.
Potato dumpling. Potato dumpling. You must cooking potatoes, and then you ripe the potatoes, and you roll potatoes on the hand or under the Achselhöhle.
Schäufele, pig shoulder meat, including the bone, and in Franconia doused with beer.
The big shoulder. Wenn du der große Schäufele bist, a big shoulder.
Carp. I know some of you might wonder how a mudfish like that can be a speciality.
It's a fish. It's a very fine fish. It's a fish who is swimming in the Trübtümpel.
But the trick is to take them out of their muddy pond, keep them in clean water for a while, and then cook them. It's delicious. Just to name a few things that you can typically eat here. Believe me, there's a lot more. So that was it for today. You'll find all the links to the other videos in the description, and of course links to more information about Franconia. So thanks for watching, please subscribe to the channel and spread the news. See you next time, bye bye, ade.